Hi everyone, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And we're on day 2 of our article From Check-in to Customs, the Language of Airports. So yesterday we were with Tristan and Nancy as they were going on their honeymoon, their nice trip, their big trip after their wedding. They're at the airport, it's busy, but they check in and then they check in their baggage and then things start to go wrong.
Yes, absolutely. They had an overweight piece of baggage. One of their bags, one of their big suitcases was too heavy for what the allowance the airline gives them. So they had to pay a fee. They had to pay a little fine, a little penalty, some extra money to get their big heavy bag onto the airplane. And then in security, they also had a bit of a problem. They put their keys and electronics through the x-ray machine and all that. But when the guard opened their bags, they found something else in there that wasn't so good.
Tristan was carrying too much lotion. You can't bring large amounts of liquid on planes these days, and he had a big bottle of lotion that was over 100 milliliters, so he had to get rid of it. Just like his wife Nancy says, he should have put it in the big bag.
There you go. So, a few problems, but it's, of course, been a long time maybe since Tristan and Nancy traveled because of COVID. So, they're relearning all the rules of the airport. So, let's check it out. I think they're going to be arriving at their destination soon, which is good news because it's time to start their honeymoon.
Reading.
From Check-in to Customs, the Language of Airports. Tristan and Nancy have passed through security and are shopping in a duty-free store.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final boarding call for flight TG633 to Bangkok. Please proceed to the boarding gate immediately.
That's us. We'd better dash.
Tristan and Nancy run to the boarding gate.
Just in time. Can I see your boarding passes, please?
Tristan and Nancy show the staff their boarding passes.
Wonderful. Enjoy your journey.
Tristan and Nancy arrive at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport after a 4-hour flight.
Hello, Thailand.
Almost. Let's get through border control and customs first.
Hello, ma'am. Please step up to the line. Your passport, please. What is the purpose of your trip?
I'm here on vacation. It's our honeymoon.
Could you tell me the location of the hotel you'll be staying at?
Yes, it's written here on this piece of paper.
And how long do you plan to stay for?
14 days in total.
Very well. Welcome to Thailand, the land of smiles. Enjoy your stay.
Yay!
All right, so as we begin, it says Tristan and Nancy have passed through security and are shopping in a duty-free store. So they still haven't gotten on the plane. There's still more to do at the airport. I guess the hard stuff is over now. They've checked in, they've had their baggage taken from them and put on the plane. They've gone through security, so now they're going to be shopping in a duty-free store. A little bit of shopping. That's more fun than going through security. If you pass through something, that basically means to go through something. It could be a process or it could be something physical. You have to pass through a door to enter a room or pass through a gate to enter into a park or something like that. So basically, it just means they've gone through the process and also they've physically walked through the check-in and the security areas. So now they're, continuing towards the airplane and they're in a separate new part of the big airport.
It's called the departure lounge. So you'll find toilets, you'll find restaurants, there'll be lots of seating areas, there'll be the gates to get onto the planes, and there will be duty-free shops. If something is duty-free, then it's an item where there's no tax or any other fees for importing that item is paid. Normally, if you bought something in a store here, you go and buy particularly things like alcohol or cigarettes, tobacco products, fancy clothes from abroad. You're paying extra money for the tax and the import duty and everything else. In an airport, airport, you don't pay any of those fees. So you can buy all this stuff a lot cheaper than you normally would, which is why you'll see these shops full when people are going on vacation.
Yeah, full of stuff that is normally quite expensive, as you said. Alcohol, cigarettes, perfume, fashionable, handbags and purses and stuff like that. As a kid, I was always disappointed that there's rarely a toy store in a duty-free section because toys aren't that expensive. So no one really needs to save money on it. But if you're buying something from Paris from a big fashion company, maybe getting it at the airport in the duty-free section will save you some money. And then they hear an announcement. So this comes over the speakers in the airport, kind of hidden up there in the roof when they have important information. Bing, bing, bing. They might hear a noise, and then a voice comes over, and they hear someone saying, "Attention, ladies and gentlemen," or it might be a woman. It's often a woman because their voices are very relaxing and calming. But this is important. It's worth listening to, of course. At an airport, they're often calling out flight numbers and saying, "Look, we're looking for a passenger. The plane will leave soon. Hurry and get over here." So this kind of thing is important to listen to. It's not just about emergencies or, terrible events. It's also just useful stuff for anyone traveling at that time. An announcement is basically something official. It's given out by someone with some authority or some power, and they're giving out important information that you need to know or it would be useful to know. You should pay attention to announcements because they could be calling out or explaining something that will affect your life, and if you don't know the news, you could face problems later on. Here's something that you might hear that will be good news. It says, "I just heard an announcement on the radio that school is canceled because of the snowstorm or because of the typhoon." That's a happy announcement for all the students and probably many of the teachers too.
So what is the main idea of this announcement? It says, "This is the final boarding call for flight TG633 to Bangkok. Please proceed to the boarding gate immediately." So it's saying, hey, get on the plane if you're not on it already.
That's right.
And it wants you to proceed to the boarding gate. Proceed is almost always followed by to, unless it's just kind of a one word. Proceed, go ahead. But it means move forward, go to this place. Please make your way there. Usually with a don't waste time. Proceed there. Let's get a move on and get there.
That's right. If they said, please run to the boarding gate, that could cause accidents. But if someone tells you to proceed somewhere immediately, they might be kind of saying you might want to run, because immediately means right now. Do not waste any time. Do it now. Not in 5 minutes, not in half an hour. Do it immediately right now. So from that announcement, I get the feeling that this plane, they will close the doors in about 10 minutes. And if you're not on the plane, well, you're going to have to wait and maybe even buy a new ticket. So yes, immediately, right away. Here's an example sentence for the word immediately, something you don't want to hear. "Warren, you come down here immediately, young man," says mom or dad. And Warren, who's probably in trouble, says, "Yes, mom," and then he gulps. Because if your parents tell you to come here immediately with a voice like that, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah, and Tristan and Nancy could be in trouble if they don't get a move on. Tristan says, "That's us," meaning that's our flight, that's our plane. We'd better dash. To dash is to go quickly somewhere, to run. Usually we talk about a short distance, even if you're going fast. It's not a long dash, but it's definitely, we've got to get there, we've got to hurry. If we're not actually running, we're doing that extremely fast walk you often see in airports, and that I, to my shame, have done. I'm reading this and I'm feeling some, we call it déjà vu, the feeling that's happened again. At least twice in my life I've been called to get to an airport at the last minute.
Right.
Once was, yes, shopping in the duty-free store. Once I just arrived extremely late because I missed and slept through an alarm.
Oh, no.
Once because I was watching a football game in the airport and didn't realize I had to catch a train to another terminal. So I've never missed a flight, but I have cut it extremely close.
That's good. It happened to me once and I did miss the flight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing.
So here's an example sentence for the word dash. Clara dashed to the store, hoping to get there before it closed.
All right. So yes, dashing, if you're proceeding very quickly, running, that kind of idea. You're late for something. So then we read...
Tristan and Nancy run to the boarding gate.
Smart. They are running with their bags and probably their new duty-free shopping that they spent some time buying. And anyways, the staff see them running towards the gate or the area where they will, walk onto the airplane. The staff recognize that sweaty red face and that look of, oh my gosh, I hope we're not too late. So the staff say, just in time, can I see your boarding passes, please? They recognize these two as being late passengers. So if you're just in time, that means you did get there before the problem happened, before the disaster, but not by much. You are just in time, maybe like a minute left in the time before they close the doors and they would have missed the plane.
Yep. So Tristan and Nancy show the staff their boarding passes. A boarding pass is a card that a passenger is given when they check in, and they must have in order to be allowed to firstly go through security. You need to show your boarding pass then, but also to get on an aircraft or ship. Normally you would give your ticket at the check-in counter and they'll give you your boarding pass, which has also got your seat details. It's sometimes got a luggage tag as well. And I've seen them with a luggage tag stuck to them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe with a fragile something. But that's the thing you definitely cannot lose. And you've got to keep that as you get onto the plane, and then keep it when you get off as well, because that'll have some details on that you will need to write down on your immigration card. More of that later.
That's true. I always take my boarding pass and use it as a bookmark in my book.
Good plan.
It's a handy place to keep it. But yes, you want to keep that with your passport because you will need it. And also, it's just a nice little souvenir from your trip, maybe. Anyways, so the staff say, wonderful. Once they see the boarding passes, it's got the right flight number, the right name, it's got their seats. Everything looks good. These tickets are theirs for that plane, so no problem. Wonderful. Enjoy your journey, say the staff. What is a journey? It's a trip. It's a voyage. It's when you leave your home and go somewhere. No, you're not walking to the post office and then to the store to get some noodles or something. You're going for a few days. You're traveling a long distance. It could be a car journey, a plane journey, a journey by boat or train, but it means you're leaving home for a while on a holiday or something like that. For example, the warriors, it says, set off on a journey to find and hopefully kill the dragon of the south. This dragon didn't live just around the corner. It lived hundreds of miles away in another kingdom. So this journey will take them days or weeks or months.
So, this journey will take them a few hours as we see Tristan and Nancy arrive at Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport. I think that's how you say it.
Well done.
Thanks. After a 4-hour flight.
There you go. And as Nancy gets off the plane, she screams. No, she doesn't scream. She probably just says in an excited voice, hello, Thailand. So they're there. She's not really saying hello to an entire country. She's just like, we're here. You know, that kind of excited feeling of really beginning your holiday. Yeah, sure. Being on the plane is part of the holiday, but it's when you get off the plane and can really relax, that's when your holiday really begins. So she's excited.
But they can't just relax just yet. You have to do all that annoying airport business first. Tristan says, almost. Let's get through border control and customs first.
Oh, yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, border control is the first part of this. The border is the line on a map, at least. It's not actually on the landscape, but it's the line that shows where one country or state, province, area, county is separated from another. In some cases, there is or has been a wall. If you go up to the north of England, there are parts of a wall where the border to Scotland now is. Hadrian's Wall was the border at one point. Now it's sort of scattered all over. But yeah, you'll see lines. There are signs up. You are now crossing into this country. You've left this area. You're going into this area. And of course, if you're going past an international border, that's when you'll need to show your passport. You'll need to make sure you're legally allowed to enter that country and so on. Here's an example sentence for border. It took just under an hour for Nate and his girlfriend to drive across the border between the US and Canada.
So the immigration officer is there. This is another person. Probably doesn't work for the airport or an airline like the ticket agents or the people who work in duty-free. The immigration officer probably works for the country's government. They're kind of like a police officer whose job is to deal with people who are trying to sneak into the country or bring in illegal things. So this kind of deal, this kind of situation. And the immigration officer is sitting in a little booth and says, "Hello, man, please step up to the line." You always have to stand a little bit further away from the person who is having their passport checked for security reasons. So immigration, yeah, this is when we talked about borders. Well, immigration, this is the department or the branch of the government or police who are in charge of making sure people follow the rules at the borders. If you're trying to come into the country, move into the country, or just travel there for a holiday, or as we said, if you're trying to bring in things, if you're sending presents or products to be sold in stores, this will all have to go through immigration before it is allowed to enter the country. So, and ma'am, we also had this term ma'am. The immigration officer said, "Hello, ma'am." Ma'am is the female version of sir. It's a polite way of talking to a person, in this case a woman, who you don't know. You don't know their name. You can't say Mrs. Jones. So instead of saying, "Hey, you lady," you say ma'am because it's more polite in the same way sir would be polite for a man.
So Nancy is told to step up to the line. To step up just means to walk forward to a certain point. It's nothing more complicated than that. Just step until you reach the line.
There you go. And the immigration officer reaches out a hand probably and says, "Your passport, please." And then they probably open it, start looking at the page with the picture and the date of birth and the name, looking up at Nancy, making sure the picture and the passport and her face match. Because, people try to sneak over these borders for all sorts of reasons. And as they're doing that and just looking in the passport, making sure it's real, it's not fake, there's no problems with the passport, they then ask Nancy a few basic questions. What is the purpose of your trip? This is basically, why are you traveling? In this case, why are you coming to Thailand now, today? What are you going to do in our country?
And Nancy says, "I'm here on vacation. It's our honeymoon."
Oh, okay. So she could also say holiday. She doesn't have to say it's her honeymoon, but that's a useful thing to say. That kind of thing. She might also say, "I'm traveling on business," or "I'm moving here to study," or something like that, in which case they would expect to see other kinds of documents from you if you're moving to live in the country. But being on holiday, I think, is probably 8 or 9 out of 10 passengers are probably doing it for something like that. The immigration officer seems happy with that. Okay, holiday, you're here for 2 weeks. That makes sense. Could you tell me the location of the hotel you'll be staying at? They basically want to have an address of somewhere where they can find you if there's any kind of problem. And a location is where something is. So if I say, "Hey, I'll meet you at that new restaurant," and you don't know the place I'm talking about, you say, "Where is it?" You want me to give you the location. I could give you an address. Oh, it's 123 Dunhua Road. I could give you the corner. Oh, it's the corner of Dunhua Road and Xinyi Road, or something like that. But basically, I'm putting it on a map. I'm putting it somewhere in the world that you can find and identify and go to. That is the location. You know the location of your own home, but you probably don't know the location of my home. That's where I live, the place, the address, things like that. For example, that famous Leaning Tower in Italy, do you know its exact location?
Pisa.
Pisa.
That's about as much as I can give you.
Me too, but I don't know the location of Pisa in Italy. North, south, east, west, I have no idea.
Tuscany, I think.
They have a tower there and it's been falling down for a long time. Okay.
Northwest,
okay.
I think.
That's a pretty good location.
Okay, so Nancy says yes, she does have the location. It's written here on this piece of paper. And that's what you'll normally do. Just before you land, you'll have the staff, again, that word, on the airplane coming around and giving you these immigration cards. And you will fill in all that important information. How long are you staying for? Where are you staying? Which plane did you come in on? All the necessary information. So usually when you get to the immigration officer, you give them your passport and you give them this single piece of paper.
That's right. But of course, if you're coming home to your home country, you often don't have to fill that out.
Right.
Because that information will already be known to the government, and they'll look at your ID card, which has the location of your home. But yeah, for visitors, it's very common. And do fill it out on the plane, because otherwise you'll have to get out of line, and it'll take time, and you'll have to look for a pen. It'll just be a big pain. So do get it from the flight attendant, right? The people who work on the planes, they will have these, and they often give them out, half an hour before you land. Anyway, the immigration officer is looking at this. says, okay, there's the hotel name. It's got the address. Here's another question. And how long do you plan to stay for? They might know that because they can see when your plane ticket says you'll be flying out, you'll be flying home. But they often ask you this. Often these questions are from immigration. They're just to see how nervous you are. And if you seem very calm and like, yeah, I'm going on holiday. I'm staying at the Royal Hotel. I'm going home in 10 days. That's fine. If you look nervous, sweaty, if you don't know the information about your own holiday, they might go, this seems strange. So, these are pretty common questions, but they will ask them to you. So how long do you plan to stay for? Another one would be, how long will your stay be? Or something like that.
And Nancy says 14 days in total.
Right.
So just 14, she could just say 14 days, but in total, maybe they're going to a couple of different spots.
Yeah,
they're moving around. That's what people often do in Thailand. So
sure, 2 weeks is a pretty good length for a holiday.
Absolutely.
All sounds good. The immigration officer seems very satisfied and not at all worried or suspicious that Nancy is criminal or anything. Very well, the immigration officer says. I can hear them stamping the passport or something like that. Welcome to Thailand, the land of smiles. Enjoy your stay. And as the immigration officer says that, they're passing Nancy's passport back to her. She'll grab her bag and...
Tristan and Nancy both say, yay!
That's it.
Well, it's not. They'd have to go through customs as well.
That's true.
Get their bags
That's almost
checked.
it. One more step.
Yeah.
Then they can get a taxi, get to their hotel, and really start their holiday.
Yeah, but we won't cover all of that today. We're out of time, except for our For You Chat question. Let's go to that now.
For You Chat.
So the question is, traveling long distances can get boring. How do you pass the time when you're traveling?
I save a good book. I've had a book maybe for a couple of years, and it's my airplane book.
Okay.
And I want to read it, but I'm like, no, that's a good long book. It'll be very entertaining. I'll save it for a plane trip. So I always try to save a really good book that I'm excited to read, because even if there's nothing to watch, even if I can't sleep, at least that will entertain me. How about you? Do you watch the movies? I'm not a movie watcher.
I will watch a few of the movies.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll usually find something small screen that, like a drama, something rather than a big screen that
That's part of the reason I don't watch the movies. I don't want to see a big
screen.
Marvel Avengers movie on a tiny little TV.
Yeah, I will vary it. I'll just vary it. I'll
Okay.
read for a bit because I'll always take my Kindle, which has got like 100 plus books on. I will watch a movie or a TV show for a bit. I'll get up and stretch and walk around. But my big one, especially if I want to sleep, is audiobooks.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Books on tape. Sometimes the airplane has this in its kind of library, but otherwise I've just got them on my phone. I'll just pick something and listen to that because it's the most likely thing. I'll cover my eyes with a mask, and that's the most likely thing to get me to sleep for a chunk of the journey.
There you go. Then you just have to go back in the book and pick up where you left off.
Well, if I want to sleep, I won't listen to something new. I will listen to something I'm reasonably familiar with,
right?
Rather than like an exciting new story.
Right. You don't worry about not following the plot. There you go. That's a good tip. How about you guys? Are there wonderful things that you've found can help you pass time on those long distances, either by plane or maybe car? Maybe your parents force you to drive to Kaohsiung to see your grandmother every weekend or something like that. How do you pass the time when you're traveling long distances?
Well, that's all from us. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Mike.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Vocabulary Review.
Announcement. The camp leader made an announcement at 6 p.m. to tell everyone to come to dinner. Immediately. If you want to catch your train, you have to leave immediately. Dash. The cat spotted the mouse and suddenly dashed across the park to catch it. Journey. When Kayla was just 18 years old, she went on a long journey to Canada. Border. Helen stopped her car at the border, and the officers let her into the country after asking her some questions. Location. Jane's new house is in a very nice location. It's on top of a big hill and has good views of the sea.
智慧小补帖
Proceed. Ma'am.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net